And good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning to you. Good morning, Rodney.
Hey, good morning. How you doing, Nina?
I'm doing pretty good. I've had a wonderful week, an eventful week, and a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful start to my morning. So,
Okay, well,
yeah,
that's
so
it.
I'm
It's
happy
the
to be here this morning, and you're watching the chat session lineup on the This Way Network. And we are
that's
so glad that you're here with us this morning.
mm-hmm.
So, Rodney, I know you had an exciting week too.
I did. I did. There were some really neat things going on, and I was actually um it was a busy weekend, I have to tell you, because just all the things that were going on over the course of the weekend. Had some pretty amazing meetings with some people, and it was really funny because you really get a chance to learn about some of the amazing things that are out there. There's technologies and all types of things. And I was with a group out in an area called Palmdale, Lancaster, and it's really funny. It's almost like the Wild West. So there's all of this land and just big sprawling hills. And so I went out to
Mhm.
a film location where they actually, Steven Spielberg, several other huge directors have used this big house. And this house is like out in the middle of nowhere. So, I mean, it's quiet. You could do whatever you need to do out there. You could build
Mhm.
stuff. And so, anyway, and the neat thing was, there was a gentleman there that was kind of surveying the land because his whole thing is he's a construction guy. So, like if you said, I want to build a lake, he would say, we need to move that mountain and put the dirt over here and we need to dig down. So, this guy knew all this amazing stuff. And so, there was some things, that we were talking, and then it came up in conversation about something called dome technology. And so when you see dome technology all across the nation, all around the world, we have problems of course, um, housing. And a lot of people say, well, how do we help the housing? How do we fix this problem? Well, there's still a lot of land around, but you just got to know how to maximize it. And so here's actually
Mhm.
a little look at it. This is the future of housing, and it's called biotech. And you literally can build it underground, and you just let the
Mhm.
grass grow all over it. You use incredible state of the art
It's like having a
material.
hobbit home.
And
Yeah.
well, that's what it looks like. But they have all of these amazing designs, and so you literally could just build on it, create mixed use projects, amazing housing technology. Um, there's also, I mean, there are so many different designs that you can come up with. And there's a gentleman
Mhm.
by the name of Bob Wheeler who's behind biotech. We talked to him. Here's one last little slide. Then we're going to get to all your fun stuff. But you can see, you can literally, you know, utilize the ground
Mhm.
in itself to be a great insulator, sound. And there's a lot of people in there. I know a lot of people have questions like, well, is it mossy? Is it, what about mold? And for some weird reason, there's a lot of studies that have went into it beyond
Mhm.
anything that I could know. But they say that it's very eco-friendly and a bunch of other things. So I'm just like
Mhm.
taking notes and learning along the way. But
Oh
you know,
yeah. Yeah. I've
yeah. But
always been fascinated with that because right here in North Alabama, it's the only one I knew of anyway. Sometimes, especially when I would be driving to
Mhm.
Athens, which is west of us,
Uh-huh.
and I was not old enough to drive then. I say I was driving, but
Mhm.
at that time I wasn't old enough to drive, so my parents were driving. I'm just looking out the window, and all of a sudden we passed by what I realized was there's a door that's going underground.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm seeing a door and a window, and I told
Mm-hmm.
my parents about it, and they were like, "No, no, you didn't see that, right?" I'm like, "No, I did. It's somebody, there's somebody built
There.
something underground, and there's a door to it, and it wasn't just
Wow.
a storm shelter. It was clearly
Mm.
more than that." And so finally on the way back, I was able to point it out. My parents saw it too, and my dad said, "Oh yeah, somebody's built an underground house." And I thought that was such a fascinating concept, and I've never forgotten it. I always look for it. It's a landmark to me now every time I pass it. And, when the movie, came out, The Lord of the Rings and The
Uh-huh.
Hobbit, I
Mm-hmm.
looked at that and I thought, "Yeah, yeah, like that. That's what I saw." And of course, that's fascinating to everyone. And
Yeah.
it looks like such a great way to go because, like you said, the earth provides great insulation. Here
Mm-hmm.
in Alabama, we have to be concerned about tornadoes
That's
because
right.
we have
That's
had
right.
a lot of tornadoes here and they do a lot of damage. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
underground, that damage is very much minimized,
Well,
to
see,
whatever structure you have. So,
I'm looking to be able to hopefully interview Mr. Bob Wheeler, have him come on and talk about it. I've saw
mhm,
models up close, and I was like, there was a big, like a technology conference here, and he was there, and so a colleague of mine, his name's Alatino Brown. Alatino knows him and met him somewhere, and so they were became close friends, and so I guess he's always looking at trying to find ways to help get biotech out there. And so hopefully
mhm,
there may be some opportunities because, here in Southern California, um, housing is a major issue. And there are still some kind of, outside the city limits, there's a lot of
mhm,
land. Boy, I'm going to tell you, if you ever come out here, Nina, you could see some places out here and you're like, there's plenty of land in California. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but there is. If you start getting out towards certain county, if you get out of the LA proper, as they call it, you can, there's still land out here. I mean, you could build towns,
mhm,
whole cities, and I'm talking about major cities out here. You can. There's
mhm,
still land, and this one guy owns like, I think they said something like 500 acres. So
mhm.
there's a look into this about him maybe even prototyping and building something out there and making a model home. And then, he would
Yeah.
have it and it would be a real world deal. And I'm sure that,
Mhm,
Bob Whelan's got these things around places that he's built and been commissioned to do.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
but yeah, but these are fun things.
So one question I have about that,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you've already heard something about this, is if you're
Mm-hmm.
building underground and you have earthquakes in California, how does that
Mm-hmm.
affect the structure underground?
That's a good question. Now that one you got me on. That's a
Mm.
Bob Wheeler question, and I have to
Oh, we'll have
probably.
to ask him that when you have him on.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely do that. We'll definitely do that. But Nina, I was here and you had sent me some fun pictures, and it seemed like somebody had a fun, interesting conference that
Yes,
they went to,
yes,
and
yes, we
you have to
did.
tell us what is up with the outfit and who were you uh in
Who was
costume?
I
What
supposed to be?
yeah.
So, so, this was the Juice Plus conference, the leadership
Oh,
conference that we just
okay.
had in Indianapolis, and I went
Mm,
for it. And at the end of the conference were so many great things that happened in the conference. I can't wait to tell you about some of those. But the
mhm.
at the end of the conference, they had a farewell party, and the
Okay.
theme was Hollywood.
Ah.
And they told us we were like, well, you know, there's a lot of ways to interpret that. What do you mean? And they said, you can interpret it however you want to. You can dress up like old glamour Hollywood. You can dress up like a
Mhm.
character from a movie. Now I'm
Mhm.
thinking, excuse me, I'm thinking, I don't want to spend a lot of money on something I'm probably never going to wear again. So I head to the thrift store looking for something. And I've got a
That's right.
friend with me, and I told her, I said, I guess I'll just go for the old glam Hollywood, but I don't really, have a direction here. And she said, you know what I think you could pull off? I think you
Mhm.
could pull off Cruella de Vil.
Ah,
And I
Cruella de
said,
Vil.
thanks, I think.
Uh-huh.
She said, no, you'd really have to work on looking mean. But she said, I
Uh-huh.
totally think you could be, and not necessarily the Cruella from the more recent movie, but
Mhm.
the old one with the 101 Dalmatians. And I thought, oh,
Uh-huh.
well, she's got a point. I'm pretty thin. And that's
Uh-huh.
the thing I remember about Cruella was that she was super thin. And the only thing
Okay.
that gave her any substance was that big fur coat that she was always
Mhm.
wearing in it.
Uh-huh.
So I went back and I looked at some of those and I thought, well, what could I do? And then I found that black and white dress for about $6. It was long,
Wow.
I was like, "Oh, I can
Mhm.
make this kinda like a formal." I already
Mhm.
had the stole. My daughter had actually bought
Uh-huh.
it for a prom or something years
Uh-huh.
ago and left it at my house,
Mhm.
and so it just kept making the move with me, and I kept wondering, "Why am I even saving this thing?" But it turned out it was perfect for that, and,
Uh-huh.
so I went online and I
Mhm.
found, a place where I could get the wig
Mhm.
and the red gloves
Wow.
and, what was the other oh, yeah, and a cigarette holder, the long cigarette
Yeah, yeah.
holder like Cruella
Uh-huh.
had. I found all of that online for less than $20 as a set. So I got
Wow.
that. I already had some, jewelry that I could wear over the gloves, and I decided if I'm gonna go, I'm gonna take on the persona of Cruella. So as
Okay.
soon as I came into the party, well, actually, as I was going to the party, because we had to walk there, it was at the convention center. We walked there from our hotel. And as I was going through the hotel lobby, there were people there at the bar, and some of them noticed me and started pointing and were calling out, look at there, Cruella, Cruella, you're working at Cruella, and I
Oh,
just said,
wow.
thank you, adoring fans, thank you, like
Ah,
that, and kept on going. And,
that's funny.
just had a lot of fun with it, and then when I got in there with my team,
Mhm.
my upline was like, "Perfect, you look perfect."
Mhm.
And she came over to give me a hug, and I was like, "Thank you, darling, thank you." "Ugh, don't touch me," like that, because I was trying to get in
The
the persona of,
character,
and she just
yeah.
laughed. So, and then eventually someone from the corporate office who was there,
Mhm.
in a costume like she was a reporter, she had a mic.
Aha.
And
I
she
think I
yeah,
have a
there you go.
there you
She
go.
came up to me and, I ended up being told that I had been nominated, and I think she is the one who nominated me
Mm.
for, best overall costume. Now, I didn't
Wow.
win, but it sure was a
Oh,
privilege to be nominated because some of those other costumes were amazing. And the neat
yeah.
thing was I wasn't the only one who had this idea.
Uh-huh.
One of the other, teams out
Mhm.
there decided to go together in costume. So they had a Cruella and all the rest of them were dressed like puppies. They had one man on their team
Uh-huh.
and he dressed up like either Horace or Jasper, with with the net, like he was catching the puppies. So
Oh,
of
there it
course
is.
I
Look
had to
at the
go over and meet them and and have my picture taken with her.
Mhm.
Excuse me. I wish I could have found some of those pearls, Elvira. That
Mhm.
would have been, like, perfect, but I didn't find any long strands of pearls like I was hoping for, and I didn't have any.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a lot of fun. The,
Mhm.
costume that most impressed me during the night was
Uh-huh.
the lady who dressed up like Mary Poppins.
Mm.
She nailed it. There she is right there. Look at that. Even
Yeah.
her umbrella has the parrot head on it, and she had to make that herself. She didn't
Wow,
have an
talent.
obviously, she couldn't find an umbrella like that, so, but
Mhm.
she made that part herself, and I said, "I have to have my picture with you because I love that costume." And she won she and her partner, uh, came as Bert, the chimney sweep. And
Oh,
so was
wow.
dressed up and had the chimney sweep brush and
Uh-huh.
everything. And, they won the grand prize as I thought they should, 'cause it really
Wow.
was
Well,
amazing.
that is indeed an interesting, conference, and so Juice Plus, I remember we talked about them before that they have a product that has the actual the powdered form of all of these wonderful fruits and
Fruits and
vegetables,
vegetables,
so you
yeah,
can put them
yeah,
in a
that is the
drink. Yeah.
true, true, you can take them as capsules, or they've got it in a superfood powder that you
Uh-huh.
is, in a sleeve that you can actually just drop into your water, shake it up, makes a delicious drink, and then you're
Wow.
getting over 30 fruits and vegetables every day, and it may not seem like very much, but
Mhm.
it was that product, those powders, that turned
Right.
my health around. Back when I
Amazing.
was still stuck in a hospital bed in my living room
Mhm.
and a fall risk and too weak to pick up a glass of
Mhm.
anything with one hand, and,
Mhm.
you know and it was the Juice Plus, literally, that God
Mhm.
used to give me my life back. I just kept
Nice.
getting better from them. And at this conference, I introduced a new product, and we had no idea
Mhm.
what it was gonna be. They really did a good
Wow.
job keeping it under wraps, so there was a lot of buzz about it, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it when they first introduced it and talked about it,
Mhm.
but I gotta tell you, I have taken it well, today was my 3rd time, but I had taken it only 2 days, and I've already seen a huge, huge difference. And I'll
Wow.
tell you what that was in a minute, but let me tell you what the product was. It's called
Mhm.
Super Biome, and
Super
it
bio.
is prebiotics and probiotics together. Now,
Wow.
probiotics are very effective, but the probiotics need to have something to eat that helps them propagate, right? And
Okay.
if your
Right.
gut is already unhealthy, it doesn't have what
Mm.
it needs to eat to
Right.
propagate
Right.
and, get more of those healthy bacteria into your gut.
System.
So
Uh-huh.
that's what
Uh-huh.
the prebiotics are for. And it's sold together as
Mhm.
a set. I think you can get them separately, but anyway, the
Mhm.
prebiotics are what feeds the probiotics and helps them grow and have a
Mm.
good effect on your body. And the thing we found out was they've done a lot of research about this. And actually,
Mhm.
research has been going on about this long before Juice Plus started looking
Mhm.
into it. But
Okay.
they
Okay.
partnered with some of these scientists that have been doing this for a long time, looking at this research and discovering what was necessary and what was really needed, what was most beneficial.
Mhm.
And those very scientists were on our stage talking
Mhm.
to us about it, telling us about what they discovered. And what they found,
Wow.
Rodney, was that the gut, you've heard of the
Mhm.
gut brain
Mhm.
connection. Well, it turns out your gut is actually
Yes.
connected to
Okay.
everything in your body. So everything works better when your
Wow.
gut is healthy. And I'm here to tell you, I've already
Okay.
found that to be true because I've only taken it for 2 days, and here's what happened to me. So
Mhm.
I've probably for 30 years now, I've had problems with my left hip,
Right.
and the inflammation was
Okay.
in the muscle. It was not in the bone, so I didn't
Mhm.
need a hip replacement or anything. It was muscle related. So I always had some
Okay.
ongoing pain, um,
Okay.
usually manageable, not too bad. I don't even take anything for it most of the
Right.
time. Some days it really does hurt, and I would end up kind of
Mhm.
limping. But
Oh, shoot.
I knew I didn't want to be stuck on, NSAIDs,
Pain man.
Tylenol,
Mhm.
aspirin, that sort of thing. So I'm like, no, I'm just gonna,
Mhm.
live my life and let it be in the background. It's low level pain. I can
Okay.
just live with it. But what I couldn't do because of those muscles that were so
Mhm.
tight and so stiff and had so much inflammation in them was if I had my knees together like this, I could turn one knee out, my right one, and bring it back, no problem. But I couldn't turn the other one out. I could
Mhm.
only get it out like maybe that far. And I had never been able to do a
Mhm.
full rotate
Oh.
on it. So that really affects your walking and your
Okay.
sitting
Okay.
and any exercises you're doing, etc.
Hip.
I did not expect
That was
this, but this
the
morning I hadn't even gotten out of bed yet, and I
hip
pulled my knees up
joint.
and I dropped that left leg, the one that wouldn't go before, over to the side, and it went almost all the way down, and there was no pain. I could not believe it. That has
Mm.
not happened in almost 30
Mhm.
years. I have not been able to do that. And I think the only reason it didn't go all the way
Uh-oh.
down was just
Amazing.
because,
Yeah.
yeah, was just because after 30 years, those muscles haven't been used in that way as much. So they're going to be a little stiff. But the fact that there was no pain and I was even able to was huge. And that's the only thing I've done different. So I have to think it has something to do with that Superbiome product. And I've only taken it 2 times when that happened. Like, oh my goodness. So I'm super pumped about that. I can't wait to tell other people and see what it might do for them too. Rodney, you're frozen. I'm so sorry. If you're talking or anything, we can't hear you. So, anyway, I hope we get you back in just a moment. But I did, there were some other things that were really interesting to me in India as well. We did a little bit of sightseeing. They have a canal in India, and they have a regatta every year where people come on these boats and go down the length of the canal. And I think the canal is, I don't know how many miles long it is, but it goes all the way to the White River. And there we go. Rodney's coming back in now. I'm still waiting for his devices to get connected.
Hey, hey.
There he is. Oops.
Back.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I'm here. It was had a little
Yeah.
signal problem. Little signal problem. There we go. See
Oh,
me?
sorry. We can't see you right now. You're not on the stage, and it's not giving me the option to add you, only to remove you. I don't want
Hold
to do
on.
that.
Don't
See if
remove
you can
me.
add
I'm
yourself to the
here.
stage.
Can you hear me?
Oh, you're here? I can hear you, but I can't see you on the stage.
Strange.
So,
Okay, here
AC,
we
can
go.
you
I don't
see
know.
him?
Something weird. Hey, everybody.
Well, as long as you're
Well, hold on. I'm
there,
gonna try to.
that's what counts. So, I was just telling everybody about the canal in Indy and the regatta, and they've got. There you go. Now I can see you.
There we
It
go.
really helps when you can see who
Mhm.
you're talking to. So
Right.
there are sidewalks down both sides of the canal, and there are a lot of museums that are,
Mm-hmm.
off to the side that you can go in and look at things. It's a
Mm-hmm.
great way to kind of see some of the best of Indy is
Ooh.
walking along the
Okay.
canal there. And I should
Mm-hmm.
have sent you the picture of this, but they had a steam clock. I'd never seen a steam clock before. The whole clock runs off of steam, and every quarter hour, it plays
Wow.
the Indiana state song.
Uh-huh.
Instead of chiming, it's playing the
Wow.
song. It's kind of cool. And you can see steam coming out of the top of it. Yeah. Indy is at least the part I
Technology.
was in, a very
Yeah.
beautiful city.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. I never heard of that one before.
I hadn't either.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that well, I guess, it's funny because they had cars, you hear about certain technologies and they say that they have cars that ran on water and all type of stuff way
Mhm.
back and electric cars way, way back. And I'm thinking, matter of fact, I was actually in Roslyn, uh, I guess Roslyn, Washington. Yeah, I went up there when I took a little trip and
Mhm.
and the neat thing about it was they had a coal train, I guess, that would go down into the coal
Mm.
mine And this was back in the 1820s. This thing had an electric motor on it, and they would fill up the car with coal way down, and this thing had the power and strength to pull that car out. And it was pretty
Wow.
amazing when, and I was like, electric technology way back then that was really strong, not like it was like a battery. I mean, this thing was like
Mhm.
had the power to pull
Mhm.
cars of coal. So I guess technology's always been around. With just you just have to be in the know of it, so to speak. But
Well, and
speaking,
particularly in the
huh?
industrial age, when they started,
Hmm.
learning so many things, there was just this
Hmm.
explosion of new technology, which to us seems
Hmm.
kind of old now, but, you can go back and look at some of those things and,
Hmm.
even back in the 1700s and realize, "Oh,
Right.
wait a minute, why don't we have that now? How did we lose that?" So,
Well,
it'd be fascinating to go back and learn about some of that.
right, right. And there's so much innovation at times that have come forward, and
Mhm,
it's come from all types of sources. I mean, because people, I think there's some term like they said, out of struggle comes ingenuity and things like that, because
mhm,
people, they have to find an easier way. And I'm gonna tell you, I have done some pretty amazing stuff using leverage and technology to my advantage. I remember one time I
mhm,
had to lift something very heavy. Actually, it was my brother. My brother had his kind of rare, expensive engine block, a car engine block. It was just the engine, no crankshaft, no pistons, but this thing weighed, you know, 300 pounds. No, it had to weigh more. Probably closer to 300 pounds. And this thing was standing in the corner of my bedroom. This engine block. It was not greasy. It was clean. That's the life of a hot rodder. But anyway, my brother had from
mhm,
California. I mean, came from North Carolina to California, and we found this engine block. And he goes, "I got to have this engine block." And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm like, "Well, what are we going to do with it?" He goes, "Just stand in the corner of your bedroom." So in the corner, literally in the corner of my bedroom, I had
mhm.
a 427 engine block out of a Corvette in my bedroom. And it's long, crazy story. So this thing stood in the corner of my bedroom for 5 years. My brother was supposed to come back and get it and take it back to North Carolina, which he never did. So I had this engine block in my bedroom, and I kept calling my brother. I'm like, "Look, man, when you coming out here?" "I'm gonna come maybe next year, next year." And he never did. 5 years passed, and so finally, I had to move, and I had to take it with me because I was moving out. And my brother's like, "Man, don't leave my engine block." So I had to get this thing out of the house. So,
Mhm.
but from the point of it being, it was standing on its end. I didn't have to stoop very low, but I could use my arms, my shoulders, and my legs. So I was like, I can't pick this thing up and cradle it and walk out of the house with it. So I found a little platform, a little four-wheel dolly that was only this high off the floor, platform. I could lift it up and get it on the platform. So I put my hands in and used my shoulders and legs and everything and literally picked it up and set it on the platform. So I rolled it out. I was like, that wasn't so bad. But the problem was getting it up on a truck. That was a problem. So for, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes, I stood there trying to figure out how to do this. And then thinking of the Egyptians, I said, how did the Egyptians make the pyramid? And I said, well, they used blocks, and they kept putting blocks on top of blocks, and they kept moving stuff up. So I found, which I had two car rims that were in my closet. And so I ended up stacking these two car rims, and then I ended up lifting the engine block off the stand and putting it on the rims. So now I'm a little ways up closer to the truck. So I'm thinking, I got to get another box. So I kept making this stair step thing. So I kept stacking wheels and kept lifting up. Finally, I had just one last little oof and put it on the back of the truck. So needless to say, technology is one thing. Oh, we lost Nina, but I'll wait for hopefully Nina to come back. Well, everybody, the other day I was no, this was yesterday. This was yesterday, the 28th. I actually walked outside to go walk my little doggy. And just something said, look up in the sky. And I look up in the sky and I see this. I see this up in the sky. And of course you see this smoke and trail. And I'm like, that doesn't look too good. And so I was looking around trying to figure out what this was. And oh, okay, here's Nina. Nina's coming back. Nina's coming back. Come on back, Nina.
I
There you
don't
go.
know
You're back.
where all this, I think it was StreamYard, because all of a sudden all of it went and StreamYard came on and, gave
Yeah,
me a
well, same thing.
message
Well,
and said something was wrong. So
thank you, StreamYard.
glad we're back.
Nice little
But did
plug.
you
Nice
just
little
show the
plug.
video and I missed it?
No. But this
Oh,
what
good.
I was talking about. I saw this in the sky. I saw this in the sky. I was walking my little doggy, and I look up and I see this trail in the sky, and I'm thinking, what is this? And so, really cool video, folks. Really cool video. Let me pull the video up, and this is what I saw. After seeing this trail, I started looking, so I instantly grabbed my camera and I captured it live, flying over. Isn't that neat?
What
And
a
you
catch.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just happened to look up, and so apparently they had and Nina, you were awesome because you shared with me a link. I hope I got this. Yeah, here you go, everybody. I'm putting it in the chat. Awesome stuff here. Rocket launch live. You can check on this. And so actually, this is a database of whenever they launch something. Nina found this and shared it with me. Thank you, Nina. I didn't know anything about it, but they
Mm.
have the actual schedule so people don't freak out, because that it would freak you out if you look up in the sky and you go, "Ah, they're coming to get us." And so a lot of times people
Yeah.
think that is a space aliens or something coming in, but I think it probably was SpaceX. I think probably
It
sending
was.
up some form of a satellite payload. And
Mhm.
the strange thing about this, you have to give credit where credit is due. Elon Musk and SpaceX, and in collaboration with NASA, they are moving payloads. They are doing things
Mhm.
that took years and years and years. And this guy just like, no problem, we'll send it up. No problem, we'll send it up. And I mean, it seems as that God has blessed him with a real understanding, and I guess his team of people have really got this thing kind of fine-tuned. And you got to be a bad boy when you can send a rocket up and doggone bring the rocket right back down to the launch pad
Mhm.
and hit it on the target and not tip over or nothing crazy. And we're really
Mhm.
hoping to be able to talk to Elon Musk one day. I know some people think he's a little far out, but you know what? To be able to get a interview with him, that'd be a real kudos for the This Way Network and the chat session, and it'd be awesome to talk to him, to just to kind of glean a little bit of his creative, creative thoughts about
Mhm.
what's next for space, what's next for all of our telecommunications and all other wonderful things that is coming. And so, you know, And yeah, and Elvira said she was glad that was not a Russian drone in the sky. Yeah, yeah. And poor thing, she was telling me that over there in Poland, where they were, it seems that Putin was sending up drones and just
Mhm.
spooking everybody, but they were unarmed, but they were just just messing with people, I guess. And so I don't know why they're gonna do that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I read something the other day that,
Mhm.
uh, was it Hungary? Hungary had sent drones into Ukraine as well, and, there was some
Mhm.
uproar about that, so it's pretty
Yeah.
interesting. But I tell you, Rodney, when I saw your video, when I first saw the
Mhm.
contrails, I thought,
Mhm.
"Well, that doesn't look like, from a
Mhm.
jet or anything. That looks
Right,
too
right.
big to be
Yeah,
that."
yeah.
Yeah, and that's what AC said, exactly. So then
Mhm.
when you sent the video and I was actually able to see what it was emanating from, I
Mhm.
recognized it right away because, of course, I'm an old NASA kid. I
Yeah.
recognized it right away as a rocket launch. I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's a rocket." But
Mhm.
I hadn't heard anything in the news about anything launching in California.
Right.
So yeah, when you sent that, you said it looks like a rocket to me, and I thought, well, if it's a rocket and it's over California, there's got to be something in the news about it. And I went looking. That's when I found the rocket launch live
Yeah. There you go.
website, and sure enough,
Mhm.
anything that gets launched anywhere in the United States, I don't know if it's global or not, but it's certainly in the United States. Anything that gets
Mhm.
launched, it'll tell you where it was launched from, what it went up for, who did it, that sort of thing. So yes, you're right. It was
Mhm.
SpaceX,
Hmm.
and they were launching 28 satellites into orbit
Wow.
from
Well,
California.
and see, this is why the push is on for young people to click on this site to get inspired. And so working with a dear
Mhm,
colleague of mine, Bill Montgomery from the Hidden Pioneers, and his cousin was
mhm,
Katherine Johnson, who helped us get to the moon. And Bill is always out there really, really pushing, trying to get kids to just click on, watch this stuff, and start asking why, how can I be a
mhm,
part of this? And so that's what our government, that's what our nation wants, for young people to get more engaged in science, technology, engineering, research, the arts.
mhm,
So now it was STEM now, and then it went to STEAM. Now it's
mhm,
because now it's research. And so, you know, me personally, I was sitting there thinking, back in the day, you see the little the little things on the moon, kind of creeping along and it's moving really slow. And I'm like, why don't they just put a four-wheeler up there? Why don't they just put the space down a four-wheeler and let him cover some real ground, But yeah,
mhm.
it's the technology, the air, the atmosphere, and so many other things.
Well, and the surface of the moon,
Mhm.
they didn't know what it was gonna be like for sure, but they did suspect that it was like a thick layer of dust, and,
Yeah, and
what they were worried
you
about,
could
if you
hit a
put
pothole.
regular yeah. And if
Lord
you
help
put
you. You don't
regular
wanna hit a
tires
pothole on the moon. Huh?
if you put regular tires on that vehicle, then the tread on them could get, packed with that dust very quickly, and then it would lose traction on the ground. So they had to come up with special wheels
Yeah.
that would support the thing, but also
Mhm.
allow all the sand to go, the dust to go out of it and
Yeah.
keep the traction. It was very fascinating to uh,
I was
to see
working
that technology.
I was actually working for ABC, and JPL came on the morning news, and I literally held the prototype of the Mars rover in my hand. I held it myself. And the guys from JPL, they brought it, and I told him, I said, "Can I touch it?" He goes, "Do whatever you do, don't drop it." I was like, "Okay." And he literally gave it to me. And I was like, "Wow, I'm holding the Mars rover." And this thing was like a RC car. It was small. It had like 6 little wheels on it. But man, that little thing, I had a camera on it, and I thought, I was like, wow, it's pretty amazing that, you know, this little thing now has expanded. And of course, Elon's probably got dune buggies and everything else out there. And so, but, and again, my colleague, Bill, he's always, talking about the Tesla that's floating around in space that's playing music, because Elon put a CD player in it, and this dummy that's in this Tesla that's floating around in space. And I'm like, boy, you never know. One day you might go outside and you have a Tesla parked in your driveway, and it's this might have landed somewhere, and you never know. So give or take,
Yeah.
But
So Rodney, oh, there it is.
Mhm.
I knew it. I could not. Somebody had asked in the,
Mhm.
I misspelled that. Let's try that again.
Uh-huh. Somebody asked, what
I still
did he
spelled it.
say after
There we go.
steam
Yeah.
and stream? What did he
Did he say
say
after
after
STEM and stream?
STEM,
STEAM. He said stream, and it stands for
stream?
science, technology, research,
Research
engineering, arts,
engineering.
and mathematics.
Yeah, I had the E in there backwards. Yeah, stream. Yeah. So that's, and
Well,
and
I
that's
had misspelled it, and I got to the M, and I was like, "What was that M for?"
yeah, math. Yeah.
Finally remembered it. Yeah.
Well, the thing about that, it's really incredible, because to get young people there, I mean, each one of these things, science, technology,
Mhm.
research, engineering, there are so many careers that they can apply. And the other day I was talking to a young man. I was at the technology conference. Oh, I got a whole bag full of stuff. I went down to Long Beach to the convention center, and I'm actually working with a gentleman, excuse me, who has a technology that he kind of brought me on, and it's called wind wheels. And so it's going to be something that we're going to present to the city of Long Beach, California. And this guy was an engineer, was really responsible for a lot of uh, great technology that came here in the Southern California, like the first fiber optic cable that went through. He
Mhm.
was on the team that laid down this fiber optic cable. And he told me way, way back in the day, when he did this, he said they have these huge cables that are, this fiber optic cable, and it's on the ground. And they said, well, we've got to figure out what to do, because we do have earthquakes. So they made this platform that these cables are laying on gigantic ball bearings. And so if there's an earthquake, these platforms roll on these gigantic ball bearings, and everything stays connected. Nothing. And he says
How
they went down
interesting.
there nearly 30, 40 years. Everything is still connected. No matter how bad the earthquakes have been, these cables are still connected right where they were. They just roll around because of the earth, and they just kind of move
Mhm.
around. And then when everything settles down, everything's fine. So he was pretty happy to know that the engineering that those guys had put down 30, 40 years ago, it's still in place. And I mean, I was like,
Mhm.
wow. So, and so somebody is saying, what was this? This said, we need to be informed from science. And that's right. Science below, God above. That's right. Sadly, many of our kids receive little training on either. You're absolutely right. And
Mhm.
we do need to keep our young people, now that, and the real science is the magnificent of creation and what the Lord has created and
Mhm.
how it was done. And you can't reason that out. You can't say, well, it was because of this, that, and the other. It was a miraculous thing how we're all here, and how everything kind of goes together. And it's funny, you'll talk to scientists. And matter of fact, I remember being in college, and we took a field trip, and our teacher was really this hardcore guy, and he was just like really about science, science, science. And I asked a question in front of the whole class, and I said, I asked him, I said, can you answer a question for me? He said, sure, I can answer anything. It's all science. I said, well, I said, does science confirm or contradict the Bible? And I said, was there ever a great flood? And you know what? That guy looked at me and he took a deep breath. And I mean, I'm talking about, it was like a 15-second, silence. Everybody was waiting to see what he was going to say. And he says, yeah, he goes, there's evidence that there was a great flood. And what happened was we took a field trip. We went to Dana Point, California. And so Dana Point's beautiful area, the ocean's down here. And we were on this hill. I mean, like way, way up in the mountains, this big old cliff. And he takes out this pick and starts digging in the side of the mountain. And he literally shows us micro pieces of seashell. And we were, we're quarter of a mile up from the ocean. And so he called me over and he says, Rodney, remember the question you asked? He showed me, he goes, do you see this? This is he gave it some technical name for seashell. And he says, that's what this is. And he says, in order for this seashell to be this high up, he goes, there is evidence that there was a catastrophic flood that struck. And I was like, thank you. And that's all I said was thank you. I just wanted him to confirm, do his job, teach us, I asked a straight question. Did it confirm or deny the evidence of a great flood? That was my question. So it was pretty interesting. The old guy, he gave us the truth. So I was like, I like that. But we need both. Firm foundation. That's right. Yes, we do. We need
the found. Yeah.
Foundation
in science with guidance from above. That's exactly right. Because everything, I love this scripture in Romans where it says, for the invisible things of him, referring to God, for the invisible things of him since the creation of the world are clearly seen, being perceived through the things that are made, even his everlasting power and divinity. Everything that God made is revealing something to us about the nature of who he is.
Powerful.
His eternal power, his divinity, the fact that he is God and we are not, all of that is revealed in creation. And even if you don't believe in him, he is the one who puts in us the desire to know more about that creation. And in doing so, we're actually wanting to know more about him. Because that gets revealed as we study all those things. And it's God who leads and often directs the research that people are doing and their understanding of things. He gives revelations that brings these advancements. And yet there's still so much we don't know.
When you think about how things work, you are literally left in awe because it goes from logical to there's a gap between what you physically can touch and understand to what really is. And that gap is that magnificence. That is just the supernatural creation, the supernatural knowledge, because in order for all of this stuff to work and stay in balance and the ecosystem to stay, I've always, they talk about the sun and how hot it is and the radiance. And you think about that and you're like, well, it's far enough away to keep us warm, but not so close that it's going to cook us. And, I'm like, then, things are warming up as they have said. So, but, a lot of times some people go, well, there is no global warming. And I'm thinking, really? now I beg to differ on that because things are melting, and they have shown huge icebergs and time lapses where things used
Mhm.
to be icy and now it's not so icy, and the polar bears are sitting around going, where's the ice at?
Yeah, well, in some places that is happening, but
Yep.
they also predicted that
Hmm.
the polar ice was getting less and less, at the North
Hmm.
Pole.
Hmm.
And then the very years they were predicting that it was gonna be, we're predicting within the next few years it's gonna be all gone. And instead, the ice grew during
Yeah.
that season. It actually got more and thicker and so forth. So, is there global warming? Maybe. But if
Hmm.
there is, we've had global warming before, and then we've had ice ages, and then we've had global warming again. So, all I'm saying is, God's in control of all of these
True.
things.
True. 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 Keep your
He's in control
keep
of
your
all of these things.
keep your waders close. That's all
Yeah,
you can do.
yeah.
Yeah, keep your waders and jet skis close. But on that note, but yeah, that's a. But I have to say that it was a wonderful conference that I went to. It seemed like you went to. I didn't. It's funny. I didn't know that you were at a conference, and then you didn't know that I was at a conference. And
Mhm.
but yeah, I go. I shouldn't do it, but I go to these conferences and I come home with a whole bag of stuff, and I'm like, Rodney, more paper, more gadgets, and more stuff, and I'm like,
More stuff.
yeah, more stuff. But the information is so. I
Mhm.
mean, when you see these engineers and these guys and gals that are building stuff and running these companies, it's so neat because you go, wow, man, if you need to make anything, boy, they had, I mean, sheet metal fabricator, gears and springs and all this type
Mhm.
of stuff. And I was like, wow. And then circuit boards and all this other stuff and actuators and high pressure hydraulic lines. And I'm like,
Mhm.
so I mean, it really, if you can dream it, you can build it.
That is
And
so true. And
if
just
you can
just
dream it,
to think that God made the brains that came up with these ideas,
mm-hmm, that's right.
and not only that, he made each one of us in his own image, and
Unique.
he is the creator. So he
Yep.
made us with a desire, a need,
Mm-hmm.
a purpose to create ourselves, that
Yep.
we need to create. So, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what's happening. People are actually living out the evidence of God as they create new things and find new ways to use things and
Mm-hmm.
start putting things together that were never put together before to
And
make new things, new
and to
technologies.
that's right. And to assist us to make our lives easier, better, safer, and I when I think about that, I mean, wow. I mean, everything from like, when you go back in history, you think about the old beds, and now
Mhm.
you have pillow top mattresses, and all of that type of stuff. And things get more and more. Oh, I tell you one thing that was pretty interesting. I bought a foam bed, and this thing, it came in a box,
Mhm.
big old tall box.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Where's my mattress?" And I was like, I didn't know
Yeah.
vacuum sealed technology. And I'm thinking like, "Is this the pillow? What is this thing?" So, and I'm sitting there thinking, "What in the world?" Then I started getting angry. I'm like, "Where's my mattress at? I paid money for this thing, and this thing shows up like this." Man, I opened the box and I open this thing up and it's in this plastic wrap. I'm like, "What is this thing?" And so I ended up getting this little knife, and I cut the edge of this thing, and this thing starts going. And I'm like, and this thing,
Mhm.
and I just cut it, and this thing just goes boom, 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 and the whole mattress pops out. And I mean, literally, like practically knocked me over. And I was
Mhm.
like, these people vacuum sealed this thing to, do you know what kind of vacuum that thing had to have to suck that thing down to just a tenth of the size of it? And I was thinking, man, technology is crazy. But I was like, and man, that bed, you sleep on it and you're just like, it's like you're laying on a big marshmallow, you're like, wow, this is pretty cool, So,
Mhm.
I think that the
And guess
technology,
where a lot of that technology came from?
NASA,
The research that they had to do for NASA.
that's right.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
There's
Well,
so many side things that,
mhm,
NASA came up with a certain technology, and
mhm,
then, whether they ended up using it all or not, they were exploring ideas, and then they
right.
gave those ideas to the commercial world and said, "Yeah, we're
You
using it here, but you can go do something else with it."
One of the first things that NASA had created was air purifiers,
Mhm.
because that was the big thing. They had to keep the air pure, and believe it or not, that air purifier, and when COVID had hit and people needed to have what was it? The yeah, I mean the air
Mhm.
purifiers, all that purification stuff that came out of NASA technology. Bill loves, bragging about that stuff and talking about it. And he's like, yes, NASA, we
Yeah.
did it. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And so he's all happy
Well,
about that.
when you think about it, it's like you're up there in a space capsule
Mm-hmm.
for goodness knows how many days. There's only so much oxygen in there.
Yeah, it's
So
amazing.
if you've got 3 people in that capsule and you're all breathing in the
Breathing.
oxygen, where are you gonna get more oxygen to,
It's
you know
incredible. So
and
big.
if you're breathing out carbon dioxide and the
That's
capsule
right.
fills up with carbon dioxide,
You got a
and then that's
problem.
all you're breathing in, that's a problem too.
Sure
So,
enough.
and the whole reason we've got enough oxygen here is
Mm-hmm.
because that plants take in carbon dioxide and
Then make more
expire
oxygen.
oxygen for us, and we do
Yep.
exactly the opposite, but you can't take plants up into space with you, usually.
That's right.
So, they had to figure out a way to do it. That's where the technology came in.
Get to work, Elon. You can do it. You
Yeah,
figure
it's
out
pretty
something,
fascinating, isn't it?
Pretty fascinating. Well, Nina, I have got to go because I have a happy little puppy here. Hey there.
Aw.
Well, there you go. Happy little puppy. And so she's been tapping me while I was working. Nope, 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 nope. No kisses necessary. And she, nope, 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 nope. No kisses necessary. Anyway, and so I'm going to have to give her a walk. And Nina, I'm glad you had a great conference. I'm hoping next Monday we can have possibly one of these great people that we've been in communication with. And
Mhm.
I'm going to let you go. So, Nina, everybody, I hope you had a wonderful time. I hope you enjoyed the show. And I hope everything goes wonderful for you today. Have a blessed week. Be safe out there. Make sure you're drinking a lot of
Mhm.
good water and tea and good stuff, and some of Nina's wonderful stuff that she has. That's Juice Plus.
Oh,
We're gonna have to
yeah.
give them a plug for Juice Plus, and
That's right, that's right,
and
yeah.
I'm gonna let you wrap it up, Nina.
Well, thank you, Rodney, and it was great to see you today. Great to see all of you, and thank you so much
Hmm.
for all your comments and
Yeah.
interacting with us. We enjoy this every week and look forward to it. So we'll see you again here next week on the This Way Network for the chat session lineup. And
Yep.
happy Monday, everybody, and be of good courage. God is with us, and we aren't alone. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Have a great week.